Hello, Internet. This is Mira Reeds, coming to you with the actual final video in our Oberyn Iceberg. In A Song of Ice and Fire, there are myriad references to magic. Game of Thrones features reanimated corpses and inhuman figures that dance with Waymar Royce. Old Nan tells the Starks about the children of the forest. Daenerys hatches dragons from fossilized dragon's eggs at the end of the book. Each culture seems to have their own explanations for their brushes with magic. We see magic attributed to gods, wizards, warlocks, and even some flat-out denials of magic's existence. While we cannot be sure of every rumor and legend, there are a few mythical creatures and magic users that have appeared on the page. The others, in particular, have taken front and center stage in the minds of readers for the past quarter century, but we still don't have a consensus on who they are or what they want. The TV show suggests that the others were made as a sort of weapon by the children of the forest, but that logic doesn't seem to align with the rest of the information we have. George R.R. Martin has given us a significant number of clues as to the flavor of boogeyman we're dealing with. From Old Nan, we learn that the others ride dead animals, raise whites, and are afraid of iron. From Sam, we learn that they come with the cold and can be destroyed with obsidian. And, perhaps most infamously, Craster sacrifices his children to the others to stay on their good side and keep the rest of the family safe. There are other mythical creatures from our world that match this description. Fae. Not the tiny pixies like Tinkerbell. The ones I'm talking about are far more sinister and dangerous. The HBO show makes the others look sort of corpsey, but in the books, they're described as beautiful, inhuman, elegant, definitely not dead. Martin has stated that he drew inspiration for the others from the Sidhe from Celtic folklore. They inhabit forests, mountains, bogs, caves, lakes, and, most importantly, they live under mounds. In the Irish tradition, their name can actually be translated to the people of the mounds. They are often described as beautiful and appear in different sizes, with some being human-like and others small in stature. In modern uses, the word she has come to include banshees, leprechauns, selkies, and mermaids. More on that in the next video. The Scottish tradition divides the Fae into the Seelie and Unseelie courts. This is not to say that they are good or evil, rather that members of the Seelie court are more bound to follow rules and will only bother humans who break the rules or are disrespectful in some way, like cutting down the trees where they live. Cough, cough. The Unseelie court will harm humans for no reason at all. But one way that people historically protected themselves from the Fae was to leave offerings, and the best offerings were their own children. In Clash of Kings, Lord Mormont tells Jon that he has offered to take Craster's boys in the past, but that Craster has refused. He refused because he gives his sons to the others as offerings, referring to them as gods. This does appear to be an effective method of protecting Craster's keep from the others, but it also alienates Craster from the other wildling communities. The books don't reveal what happens to the babies, but the TV show implies that the offered babies become White Walkers themselves. This is similar to changeling stories in European folklore, where babies would be taken and replaced with a strange, otherworldly child. In my previous video, I speculated that a relationship with the Fae could be the explanation for Oberyn only having daughters. Either that Oberyn is part Fae himself and takes the children as offerings from the mothers, or that he delivers them to beings with parallel significance to those in the north. This could be to gain protection or potentially to gain power. In part 3 of this iceberg, I speculated that Oberyn may have done a Prince and the Pauper style swap and taken up the identity of Qyburn while in Essos. If this is true, then the power he gained from sacrificing his sons could be necromancy. But assuming that Oberyn has been sacrificing his sons, which beings received the children? Let's see if we can answer that by looking at what we know of real-world lore and comparing it to what we know about the others, the children of the forest, and magic in Essos. One possibility is an eastern analog to the Westerosi children of the forest. We know of the black trees with blue leaves in Qarth. Daenerys sees them when she goes to the House of the Undying. In Daenerys 4 from A Clash of Kings, we read, In this city of splendors, Dany had expected the house of the Undying Ones to be the most splendid of all, but she emerged from her palanquin to behold a gray and ancient ruin. Long and low, without towers or windows, it coiled like a stone serpent through a grove of black-barked trees whose inky blue leaves made the stuff of the sorceress drink the Qartheen called Shade of the Evening. No other buildings stood near. Black tiles covered the palace roof, many fallen or broken. The mortar between the stones was dry and crumbling. She understood now why Xaros Oendaxus called it the Palace of Dust. Even Drogon seemed disquieted by the sight of it. Daenerys drinks Shade of the Evening and has a remarkably similar experience to Bran in Bloodraven's Cave. Some fan theorists have speculated that the black trees are corrupted weirwoods, but I believe they are another race of the same species. We know that the children of the forest are closely tied to the weirwoods, as evidenced by the first men attacking the children by destroying the trees. It is reasonable to conclude that there is an analogous group of fae that worship the Qartheen trees, or are related to them somehow. Indeed, we see the warlocks and the Undying, groups that seem similar to worshippers of the old gods and greenseers, respectively. It could be that the Ifiquevron, or woodswalkers, mentioned in the World Book are the Asasi kin to the children of the forest. In the World of Ice and Fire book we read, "None of the Ibonese that Brian of Old Town met could say that they had ever seen a woodswalker, but claimed that the little people blessed a household that left offerings of leaf and stone and water overnight." Another example of offerings being left to a group of people who seem analogous to the Fae in our real world. Once inside, Dany's encounter with the Undying is horrifying. They have a corpse-like appearance, and they try to drink her blood. But they speak in a language that Dany can understand, unlike the others when they encounter Waymar Royce. And they do seem to perish when Drogon burns down their house. Again, as opposed to the others, where Sam reads, "Fire may dismay them," but ultimately they can only be killed with obsidian or potentially dragon steel. More on that in another video. My conclusion is that the Undying ones are like Bloodraven, human beings kept alive by tree magic and likely consumption of other human beings. Dany and Bran both receive visions after drinking tree paste. So far, the parallel holds. But unlike the tales of greenseers and the children of the forest, we are not told of any skin changer lore from Qarth or the surrounding area. It is possible that the magic of the Ifiquevron or the Black Trees turn their power elsewhere, a power that Oberyn may be attempting to harness for himself with the sacrifice of his sons. With that speculation, we conclude our Oberyn Iceberg and begin our exploration of George R.R. Martin's Fairies of Ice and Fire. Please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next series. I will also be including links to other videos on Song of Ice and Fire theories by creators I follow and recommend. Until next time.